Did you nod your head?
No, I try to.
Okay.
I try to feel it because I feel quite stressed now. Um,
You don't have to feel it. You just feel it.
okay,
You just have to recall it. That's all.
okay, okay, it's done.
Okay, good. All right. That's just our way of inviting unseen therapists. She's always here anyway. Okay. But we're not always listening. That's the problem. Okay. So this is opening the door. We're going to listen. We're going to give you a little something to work on, unseen therapists. We're going to hope you can bring us at least some relief. We're going to put some stuff on the table for you, mostly a powerless feeling. It may not take the place of all the specific events that we may have to do, but hopefully we can get a better perspective on the idea of powerlessness, where it comes, and the true power you really have. And so let's go back in time, even to infancy, even to the womb where you may not have been wanted, possibly. But from infancy on, where you had all the sexual assaults, the rapes, and the many things that the belittlements and the criticisms and all the things that would give any child, a sense of powerlessness. Because these things are coming from authorities in your life, parents, adoptive or otherwise. They're supposed to be sources of love. And of course, you would not only get from that, nobody wants me. That's just natural. It would be unusual if you didn't do that. But also, I'm powerless. I'm little. I'm small. I'm powerless. People have more power over me. I've got a big secret. Don't want anybody to know. Lots of things. Unseen therapist is hearing this. She understands all of this. Of course, she would understand it. Any adult listening to your story would understand that. But unseen therapist has this extra loving power. And what we're going to do is we're going to imagine unseen therapist not as some maybe human figure that you might think of her as, but rather as a lake of love. It isn't a lake like filled with water that you could walk into and drown. It's a lake filled with love, which only innervates you. It gives you freedom. It's only love. That's all it is. That's all it is. It, in the world of the unseen therapist, in the world of pure love, the humiliation, the angers, the powerlessness, resentments, and all the things that go on with your background are understood. They, the, the behaviors aren't acceptable, but they are. They're not excused, but they are understood. All these various people have their own needs. They're looking out for them, but whether they should or not at your expense, they did it at your expense. Okay. And you, of course, would get the idea as a very young child something's wrong with me. I am powerless. Now, as an adult, Nadia, you know otherwise. You're a good speaker. You can stand in front of an audience and you can move them, maybe not as well as you might like, but you can move them. You are not powerless. You can take no's and that would be okay. You can move from nobody wants me to, that's okay. I'm not really burdened by that anymore. You can do it. You have the power, but the young you hasn't recognized that yet. And it drags down that young you, drags down your power only because she's confused, naturally confused. So there you are standing on the shores of this lake of love with all the past you have, all the weight, all the powerlessness, all the reasons for the powerlessness, which anybody would recognize, okay, for a young child. And now, very gently, you take a step into the lake, up to your ankles. Oh, it feels good. It's cool where it needs to be. It's warm where it needs to be. And you take another step in and another step in. You're up to your knees and your waist, your chest. And as you are moving into the lake of love, all of the reasons for the powerlessness start to fade. They just become things that happened a long time ago. They become things like, gee, I fell off my bicycle when I was 5 and skinned my knee and it hurt, but it doesn't have to bother me now. And as you walk in, the reasons for the powerlessness start to fade. They start to leave your body. And the farther you go into the lake of love, and the more you get up to your neck and up to your nose and up to the top of your head, and you're fully immersed in all this very supportive love, the more you recognize the powerlessness has no place. There's a certain power in here. There's an ability to trust others, maybe with some caution here and there, but certainly more than you trust now. There's an ability to trust that if you tell your story, for example, you become more human. You now have a power that you didn't have before because you are free. There's a freedom in that. And public speakers with freedom are a lot more powerful, a lot more powerful than public speakers with secrets and things that need to hold back and limits and all of that. An unseen therapist says, you know, Nadia, whatever you speak about in public, you will become more believable. Put it this way. Believability is probably your most important feature when you're a public speaker. Are they going to believe you? Some people can fake it pretty well. Okay. I, Gary, have done that myself in the past. All right. But when you're really genuine and you have no secrets, there's a power in there that nobody can take away from you. Nobody can take that away. Now, spend a few moments walking around inside the lake of love. And as you do this, go to the various events in your life that would give you reasons. The rapes, for example. Maybe specific events and things that were said and done and so on. Go by and look at those things. These are specific events in a way. But look at the people they came from. Are they not dealing with a lot of their own stuff and you were an easy target? We're not going to excuse. We are going to understand behaviors. Other people do what they need to do in this ego-filled world just like you do. It will conflict with you in your case dramatically. But spend time doing that. Take whatever time you want. And notice, if you can, in your imagination, the powerlessness starts to fade because it doesn't really need to be. So go ahead, walk around, do all that with unseen therapists' help. You're in her lake of love. And whenever you're done, Open your eyes and we'll talk.
Wow.
Okay. So what happened? Were there competing thoughts where, no, I don't want to go there, or other stuff like that? Or did you follow along well? What happened?
Um, I really love the idea of the lake. I live just inside of the Mont Frémagog Lake, which is a big lake between the USA and Canada.
Mhm.
uh, just a humor note that I was just realizing the Ensign therapist speaks French.
Bless her heart.
I began to speak, and suddenly I said, "Oh, you speak French?" And she said, "Of course." Oh, that's really a relief. It's interesting. The moment I began to enter in the lake, I was feeling in my body a relief, and the powerlessness feeling usually stay in my throat, feeling completely like a big ball and completely blocked. So it was really freeing. The moment the water arrived here, and um, it was very soft, and definitely I'm going to listen to it again. I really love it. Um,
Well, let me ask you this.
yeah.
In there, I was guided to talk about the idea of being a public speaker and
Mm-mm.
being believable,
Yes,
that being the most important part of your message.
exact.
Okay.
Yes.
And so that landed well with you, because I just
Oh,
all of a
yeah.
sudden I all of a sudden got that notion to say it. So here it came.
Yes, yes, because yeah, I was requesting help and people didn't believe me when I was saying I don't remember what I was saying, but I guess I was saying I'm raped, or maybe they are bad with me, I don't know. But they always were answering things like it's nothing, it's not so bad, it's not so, but they didn't believe me.
Yeah.
They didn't take me seriously. It was interesting being believable because I need, in a way, when I was hearing it, I need to be believable first on my own eyes.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That's one of the main points. Yes.
You know, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was good to hear it. It was like yes, you know, yes,
One of the
and
most
yeah,
one of the
tell me,
most successful women, to my knowledge, in all of history is Oprah.
yeah,
Okay. Now, Oprah is not a great polished speaker. I mean, she's done it for years, but she doesn't. Her main thing that gives her such power and popularity is her openness, her believability. She talks about her weight, she gets fat and then she gets skinny, and her childhood, and there are no secrets with Oprah. very believable. So if she says something, you believe she believes it. Okay. There is your model. If you like models, okay, there's your model. Okay. One of the richest women on the planet. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
And by the way, she still has a lot of unresolved specific
Oh,
events she
yes.
doesn't know about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. um, yes. Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, I think this believability,
Mhm.
I really got that. I really need to get it for
Yeah.
myself
Okay.
first,
All right.
because it's interesting about being a public speaker, because I was using this example to say the contrast between nobody thinks that I have difficulty to speak about myself,
Yeah.
you know, um, but in another way, um, when I speak publicly, I have a great power. And in my life, I have had this place several times, and this paradox that I live, and maybe that I could solve now, because I really feel something different inside of me. But it was like I begin to be famous, or to be believed, or to be known, or to be listened. And the moment after, I was beginning to be in terror. Whoa, I'm now recognized. I'm now acknowledged. I'm now famous. They are going to come to kill me. I didn't think like this.
Wait. They're going to come
Yeah,
kill you?
yeah. Because I was having, and what I got this last week from the fact I began to work again with me in deeply with the OFT. I really was catching this sentence and this terror. And it's the reason why I didn't want to write my book, because I thought I'm going to publish it and they're going to come to attack me, because you need to know that I'm harassed by my adoptive mother. She
I'm
always,
sorry, I don't know the word. You're a
I'm
harad
victim of harassment.
or harassment.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So she continued to attack me. And when I ask her what she wants, she said, I want you to put off the video because I've made a testimony about being raped. And so I don't tell you the whole story. But I continued to have this pressure, and these attacks. And I'm not so bad about it, but it was activating this fundamental terror of being seen. So I'm definitely I'm how can I say it? It's in my destiny to be in a scene, to be seen, to have an impact as a public speaker, as a writer, and I need to be free of this part who was the moment I began to be famous and to have lots of public, and this part who was saying, stop that, stop that, stop, hide yourself. You know, this. I don't know the word in English. I speak about paradox. When you have one thing and then the other. Like I am a very alive person, and a part of me is ashamed to be alive.
Yeah. But
See what I mean? That
the ashamed to be alive all comes from specific events in your past which need to
yeah, yeah.
be
But
collapsed.
it's always yeah. So that's it. But so it's interesting this example of public speaking, because I stopped to to do conferences and so on after a while. And in my life, it's always like this. So I hope it's not going to be like this. I erase always. Up until now, it was like this. That the moment I began to have an impact, the terror was arriving, and I was stopping everything. And so writing my book is the same. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm clear.
Well, no, I got
Okay.
what I'm thinking. I have a little another personal story to tell you that might be
Yeah.
useful. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Years ago, before even I understood what EFT was and tapping and all of that, I wanted to be a public speaker. So I had my girlfriend, try to get me places to go speak so I could practice a motivational speaker. Okay. And so I would practice, and people in the audience, some went better than others, and people would applaud, and some really applauded, and some kind of rolled their eyes, all that stuff that goes on, okay, as you practice and all of that. And then I remember standing in front of one of my largest audiences, like 200 people, if I recall it. They were all men in this case, okay? And I even forgot the topic that I was on, but I suddenly got emotional within. I always had the idea I need to speak, I need to have wisdom, I need to stand above everybody else, and I have something you don't, and I'm going to give you my wisdom and, that kind of thing. So be happy with what I'm going to share with you, okay, kind of thing. I wasn't sharing me, I was sharing my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So in the middle of this, I know I was talking about my mother. And my mother, if you know my story at all, my mother was just a prize for me. She was literally astonished at my very existence.
Mm.
Everything I did was, that's how I grew up as a kid. I mean, that's quite different than yours. Okay. I had the exact opposite of that.
Mm-mm.
A real gift. I didn't understand it, but I started talking about my mother. And I got very emotional. I'm getting a little emotional now about it. Okay. And I stopped. I couldn't get my words out. I started crying. I mean, like that. I don't mean just, It was quite obvious to everybody there that my wisdom had suddenly taken a turn, and now I was being quite personal for no real reason other than I just fell into it. Okay. I got at the end of that the biggest standing ovation I ever got. Okay. Because I was more believable, because I was real, because I was raw, because they have their secrets as well, and they're so happy somebody else is going to tell theirs in their emotional ways. And this is a group of men who aren't supposed to show their emotions, Got them. Big lesson. I don't know if that's useful for you or not, but big lesson. Okay. And by the way, nobody came to kill me.
But I did things like, I don't know if you know Landmark and Insight Transformational Seminars, and
Well, I've heard of them.
and
Yeah.
I was sharing myself on stage, and and I was a facilitator for years, about in front of 500 people, and it's one of the reason I want to have a practice group in French, because it's also another thing. I have done lots of work in English, but my identity is built in French. And I know that, when I study EFT, I translate in French. It's not all the same. It's easy for me to work in English, It's my second language. So, but I know what you talk about. I know. And
Yeah.
what I
Okay.
want, what I aim, what I want to be free of, yesterday I became aware of, I have a new family. It's a family of my husband, okay? I don't have any family for me, but I have the family of my husband. They are all great person. They are simple. So they have, this conversation about the meteo, and, I took the bus and I bought a shirt, and I tend to think I don't know how to have these superficial conversations. So I don't know what to say because we are not deep in the psychological area. And I got yesterday that I stay distant. The only thing is I stay distant, and I want to feel free to speak about myself, about little things. But I need to stop to be distant, to put a wall between me and others. You see, so it's the reason why I was taking also the example of public speaking. But that the way when my sister-in-law, who is very nice, say to me, "Hey, what's happened?" I said, "Everything is okay, and you?" Very quick, you know. And I
Yeah.
let her speak, and she speaks for hours. So yeah, I want to find this freedom
Okay.
to share
Well,
myself and to
okay.
be with people, and you know.
That's what you're aiming towards. I'm only suggesting that a way to measure how free you are becoming is to see how free you are to share yourself, public
Yes.
speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I have opportunity. I can create opportunities
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
You can start it one on one, just public speaking with part of your
Yes.
husband's family if you want to.
Oh yeah.
I don't
I
know if
don't
you know
speak.
it or not,
I don't speak to my
sister-in-law
husband.
Sarah, but
Yeah.
when I was an infant, I was raped over and over and over again up until age 17. I mean, raped.
You were?
No. I'm
Oh, okay.
saying
Okay. Okay.
that's what you might say to your sister-in-law or something
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh. You
Well,
know, it's a real challenge, you know, because
well,
when I began
it's a
to
way to
know,
practice. It's a way to practice. That's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying. Okay.
when I began to know them, it's interesting as an example because when I arrived in this family, it was 15 years ago. They were very welcoming and very open and very happy to have that I'm in their brother's life, okay?
Uh,
And and of course, after a while, they asked some question about my childhood. So, for example, she said, "Are your parents alive? Do you see them in France?" And so I was not going to tell the whole story, but I began to say, and happily, I didn't have a childhood not so easy. And they turned. It's a taboo to speak about something that is, yeah.
okay.
So, and what I did is I resigned myself. I became resigned and I didn't speak about myself at all. So it's a quite
Well,
it's a good
see,
challenge, just to
sure.
speak more about how I feel with them, even if they don't listen. And it's very easy for me to be trapped. They don't want to speak about difficult things, and it's easy for me to say they don't listen to me. I'm not going to speak. You
Okay.
see?
I don't know them, Nadia, um, but I have a useful guess that might be
Yeah.
helpful. Okay. So they don't want to talk about taboo, as you said, kind of thing. Okay. That's them keeping a secret. Okay. Uh,
Yes,
yeah.
I
Okay.
know.
Just like you, they have their own secret. It's
Exactly.
not the same secret, but it's a secret nonetheless. Okay.
Exactly.
And a bunch of secrets probably. All right.
So
They
what
don't
do
want,
I do?
well,
How can, yeah, tell
I have a
me.
thought. I have a thought.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing underneath all that is people want to be free. They aren't free, just like you're not free. They aren't free in the way we're speaking. Okay. So obviously, from what you're telling me, if you sit down and say, now sit down, I want to tell you about my childhood and I was raped and da 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 da, we're not ready. I might say something like this. They'll say, well, how are your parents, or are they still living, or whatever, these artificial
Mm-mm.
questions, you can say.
Mm.
Yeah, they're still living, but there's a real issue there. They weren't really good parents. I'll tell you about it sometime if you're ready. All you did was open the door.
Mm.
And they may come back and say, well, what do you mean? And,
Mm.
it's my suggestion, although I can't guarantee this, that once you have an open door and you start talking about it in the raw way, you're going to start triggering them to start telling you.
Mm.
They're going to feel freer to tell you, which is doing them a big service because they're not free. They don't feel free anyway. But with you, they can feel free. Okay. And now you are friends at a much deeper level than you would ever be with the artificial conversation.
Yeah.
So, for whatever it's worth.